Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Lauren, and I will be guiding you through a slow flow practice today where we will be focusing on the actions and muscles that are required for arm balances. So, we're prepping for arm balances, but this isn't a sequence where we're going to do a bunch of arm balances. This is a sequence if you've never done an arm balance and you feel like there are some things that stop you from getting into arm balances. This is the sequence you would practice. So I will give you one opportunity towards the end of the practice to get into just one arm balance, but what we're really going to focus on is opening through the wrists, creating openness through the back of the spine, strengthening the core, getting your body used to balancing. So things like that. So all the things, again, that are sort of at play in an average arm balance. But we're not really going to spend time in arm balances themselves. So it's like an arm balance sequence, but not really. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so that's where we're going, if that's helpful. We are going to start on our backs. So you can come on down onto your back. We won't be here long, but you still might bring something under your head. Okay. So just come on down onto your back in a comfortable position, somewhere where everything can relax, where you feel comfortable, where there's not a lot of effort or exertion in what you're doing. And let your body soften. Let your body relax. Recognize that your mat and the ground and the earth are supporting you. That you can relax, you can let go, you can release because the mat, the ground, the earth, all of these things are supporting you. All of them have your back. The earth is here to catch you when you fall. So let your body release into the earth. And as you continue softening your muscles, your joints, and the rest of your physical body, turn your attention to your breath. For a few moments, just notice your natural breath. Notice how smooth, fluid, and steady your breath is. Now, keeping this connection to your breath, maybe you stay here and you just focus on your natural breath. Or maybe you join me in a practice called Viloma 2. Viloma 2 is where we will divide the exhalation, the out breath, into 3 equal parts, pausing and holding the breath for a moment or two after each part. We will be holding the breath for a moment or two, which is a perfectly safe practice unless you are pregnant or trying to get pregnant. So if that's the case, skip this practice. Continue to breathe naturally, never holding your breath. Otherwise, holding your breath is a perfectly safe practice. Okay. So we'll do just a few rounds, of Viloma 2. So to begin, exhale completely, push all of the breath out of your lungs. And inhale a long, smooth, steady breath in, When you inhale all the way, hold your breath at the top. Hold the breath for a moment. And then exhale 1/3 of the breath. Hold it here, pause. Now exhale 2/3 of the breath. Hold your breath here, pause. Now exhale 3/3 of the way. Completely empty your lungs from breath. Hold it here at the bottom. Hold your breath. And then inhale naturally. Exhale naturally. Now we'll continue on. Inhale a long, smooth, fluid breath in. When you get to the top, hold your breath at the top. Hold your breath for a moment or two. And then exhale 1/3 of the way. Hold your breath here, pause. Now exhale 2/3 of the way. Hold your breath, pause. Now exhale 3/3 of the way. Push all of the breath out of your lungs. When you get to the bottom, hold it. Hold your breath. Hold at the bottom. And now inhale naturally. Exhale naturally. Again, back to Viloma 2. Inhale a long, smooth, seamless breath in. When you get to the top, hold it at the top. And then exhale 1/3 of the way, and then pause. Now exhale 2/3 of the way, and then pause. Exhale 3/3 of the way. Push every last drop of breath out and hold. Pause. Inhale naturally. Exhale naturally. One more round of Viloma 2. Inhale a long, seamless breath in. When you get to the top, hold it. Hold the breath, but soften your shoulders, soften your arms. Now exhale 1/3 of the way. Hold it, pause, soften shoulders and arms. Exhale 2/3 of the way. Exhale 2/3. Hold the breath. Pause. Soften throat, neck, and jaw. Now exhale 3/3 of the way. Push all of the breath out. Push every last drop of breath out. Hold your breath at the bottom. Relax the muscles of your face, but keep holding the breath. Inhale naturally. Exhale naturally. Return completely back to your natural breath. Take a moment here to notice how you feel, if that pranayama affected you in any way. Now keeping your attention inward. If it feels right for you, you might take the next few moments to silently set an intention for your practice. Reflect on a positive word or phrase and repeat it a few times to yourself to allow it to settle in your heart. And now slowly start to deepen your breath. Take really big, full, deep breaths. And as you start to deepen your breath, create some movement around your body. Fingers and toes, maybe rock the head, move arms and legs, and give yourself a few moments, a few breaths to just move or be still, but just be somewhere that feels good, whether that's movement or stillness. Okay, give yourself one more breath where you're at. Okay, all right, from wherever you're at, take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, hug your knees into your chest. And we're gonna come up to a seat. So you might rock through up to the center. You might roll over to the side and push yourself up. However you need to get up, but we are gonna come to a seated position. We'll be here for a little bit, so I always like to sit on something. Okay, so just finding a comfortable seat. Okay, all right, let's get our spine moving. So just take that comfortable seat, let your legs relax, let your hips relax. But I do want you to think about consciously lengthen through your spine the entire time we're here. So we're gonna take different movements of our spine, as you probably know, but I want length throughout it. We're not getting rid of the length so that we can do something else. We're building onto this length that we've created. That's important. You let the shoulders relax, the arms relax. Inhale as you draw your belly forward. Lift your chest, lift your heart. Maybe you even look up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, tuck your tailbone, draw your ribs back, your chin to your chest, look down towards your belly button. We'll do a few more at the pace of the breath. Inhale as you draw the belly forward, lift the chest, lift the heart, look up. Exhale, draw the tailbone back, ribs back, chin to the chest, look down. Just maybe one or two more of each like this. Now keep relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the arms. Soften throat, neck, and jaw. Relax the muscles of your face. This is about your spine. So the action we're going to keep coming back to is sort of this forward folding action, this sort of chin to the chest, ribs back, rounding, almost like cat pose. We're going to keep coming back to that shape. Okay, the next time you come back to the center, we'll stay there. Let the legs relax. Again, lengthen the spine, but soften shoulders. Okay, inhale, circle the arms up. Exhale, bring the right hand down, so the left fingertips over, sweeping and reaching to the side of the room. Inhale to the center, lengthen up. Exhale, switch sides, left hand down, right fingertips reach. So again, the emphasis is your spine. We're focusing on moving, opening, stretching, warming up your spine and your torso. So make the emphasis less in the shoulders, less in the arms. Let's do about 2 more on each side. You're using your arms, you're moving your arms, but again, they're not the purpose of what we're doing. So let them soften a little bit more. Focus on lengthening through the side of the spine. Let's do 1 more each side, just like this. Keeping your seat grounded. Crown of the head reaching up, shoulders soft. Okay, and then return back to the center. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, drop the arms, take a twist as you turn your chest over to the right. Inhale as you reach fingertips up, crown of the head up, lengthen. Exhale, drop the arms, take a twist over to the left. Keep moving with your breath. Inhale to the center. Exhale, drop the arms, take a twist. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, take the twist. Let's do 2 more each side. Again, keeping your seat grounded. You're gonna notice that one hip or one leg might wanna come forward as you take the twist. Try to keep your hips and legs even. And the crown of the head reaching up. Let's do 1 more each side. Shoulders soft, the focus is your spine. Rotate at your waist. Twist in your spine. Okay, and then inhale again, lengthen up. Exhale, let the arms come all the way down. Okay. We're gonna take 1 more stretch here. If you're sitting asymmetrically, change the cross of your legs. And just notice how this side feels different, feels probably funky, arguably uncomfortable. If it's painful, there's something really happening that stops you from sitting the way that you are maybe now sitting. You don't have to do it. I just want you to loosen up the other side just like you do the one side. Okay, now we're gonna stretch through our wrists. So make sure you're still sitting comfortably. Again, you don't have to change the cross of the legs if it brings you serious discomfort, but lengthen up through the crown of the head, reach the arms forward, fingertips forward. Draw the palms away from each other, thumbs will point down towards the floor. Now this action, this is called internal rotation in your shoulder, and this innately makes the shoulders shrug. So you have to really consciously let them relax. Okay, cross the right arm on top of the left. Bring the palms together, interlace the fingers. Interlace the fingers, but don't squeeze them too tightly. Okay. Bend at your elbows so your knuckles will point towards your chest, towards the sky, and then maybe forward, maybe not, that's okay. But then thread it back through. We're just gonna do this 3 or 4 times on this side and then switch. So keep shoulders relaxed, keep the spine long. Make sure you're moving through a stretch, through a movement that feels good for you. It feels productive, it feels beneficial, nothing sharp or shooting. Maybe uncomfortable and foreign, that's okay, but not too much more than that. This will be the last one. I said 3 or 4, but it felt really good to do a few more. So I hope you felt the same way. All right, so look, next time you've got your arms extended, look at your arms. Notice which pinky finger is on top, because that's another habit I want you to think about changing and doing the opposite of every once in a while. So notice which pinky finger you put on top. Release your hands. Cross the left arm on top of the right. Put the other pinky finger on top. So interlace your fingers the other way. Fingers are interlaced, but you're not squeezing too tightly. Relax your shoulders. Bend your elbows so the knuckles point towards your chest, up towards the sky. Maybe they come forward, maybe they don't. I would say the average person ends up sort of stopping here. So that's very normal to not be able to extend the arms forward. I taught this the other day in a live class, and a student said, "Laura, are you double jointed?" No, I just do this a lot. I'm not double jointed. Most people probably can't reach their arms forward. If you can, that's great. If you can't, that's also great. Doesn't matter. It's just a matter of what your body is used to, which is why I want you to change habits, like the way you fold your arms, interlace your fingers, cross your legs. Your body is a product of your habits. Okay, one more time. And then when you come forward again, relax the shoulders, release the hands, release the arms. Let's roll the shoulders out a few times, because even though we put in the effort to relax the shoulders, I think they still kind of creep up anyways. And then let's reverse. 1 or 2 more like this. Okay. All right, so now we're ready to come into tabletop. Our wrists are warmed up. So let's come into tabletop on all fours on our hands and knees. All right, we'll be here for a little bit if you want. If you always can pad under your knees, fold it over sideways, your mat, or put a kink in it, sort of lengthwise, whatever you need. We're gonna be here for a little bit. All right, so we're gonna start in a traditional tabletop. We're not in a cow, we're not in a cat. We're in neutral. So from the shoulders to the hips is a straight line. All right, now you're gonna look at the tip of your right thumb. Look at the tip of your right thumb. It's going to help keep your neck in neutral, and anytime you balance, it always helps to keep your eyes on one fixed spot, something that won't move. So look at the tip of your right thumb and allow your left arm to lift up off the ground, reaching left fingertips forward, thumb to the sky, almost like you're going to shake someone's hand, but with your left hand, I suppose. All right, so push your right hand down into the ground, lift up and out of the right armpit. Now you can absolutely stay here. Your arms and core should feel like they're working at least a little bit here. But maybe we add the leg. So you draw your right leg back and slowly lift it up off the ground, pushing through the right heel. Right toes will point down towards the floor. Right hand pushes into the floor. Left fingertips reach forward. Keep the spine in neutral. Again, we're not in a cat, we're not in a cow. We're in neutral, we're in tabletop. Stay for one more deep breath here. In stillness, then we're gonna add movement. Okay, you can stay still or inhale. Exhale as you draw your elbow and your knee in towards your belly. Round your spine. Now take a cat pose, chin to the chest. Inhale, lengthen out long. Bring the spine to neutral. Exhale, draw the elbow and the knee in. Round the spine. Take a cat pose. We're going to do 3 more. Inhale to lengthen, stretch, reach. Exhale, crunch everything in tightly. 2 more. Inhale to lengthen, expand, take up space. Exhale, draw it all in, crunch it in. Take that cat pose. 1 more with our breath. Inhale, reach. Exhale, crunch, round it out. And then inhale, lengthen. We're gonna hold it long for just 1 breath. Really push the right hand down, lengthen, inhale. Exhale, bring the hand and the knee back down onto the ground. Okay, now we're going to stretch out our right wrist. Before we come to the second side, we're going to stretch out this right wrist. So from tabletop, you're going to pick up your right hand, Place the back of your hand down on the mat. So your palm will face up towards the sky and your fingertips point towards your knees, towards the back of your mat. Okay, your right elbow might be straight, it might be bent, your call. You'll feel a difference in your forearm. Now, keeping the back of your hand on the ground, you're gonna curl your fingers in like you're making a fist with your right hand, and then release, stretch the fingers out. Curl the fingers in, make a fist, stretch it out. Let's do about 3 or 4 more. Again, right elbow might be straight, it might be bent. All of that's gonna change the stretch. Let's do maybe 1 more. Okay, and then you can release that. Maybe just roll it a few times. That usually feels good. We want to avoid shaking. Sometimes after movements like this, people shake out their hands. Just roll it, move it, fluid actions. Okay, now it's going to get a break because we're just going to start in tabletop for just a moment, making sure, again, the spine is in neutral. And then we're just going to lift that right arm up. So look at the tip of your left thumb. Look at the tip of your left thumb as you reach your right fingertips forward. I'm going to bring mine just by the side of my body because mine's cutting off. You can't see my face, my beautiful face. I'm just kidding. But you can't see, and I feel like you can't hear. So I'm going to bring my hand to my hip, but you reach your fingertips forward. Okay, like you're going to shake someone's hand, thumb to the sky. Now keep looking at the tip of your left thumb. Push your left hand down into the ground, lift up and out of your torso. You should feel your arms and your core work a little bit here, but for more, keep looking at the tip of your left thumb. Slide your left leg back and then slowly lift that left leg up off the ground. Push the heel back and the toes point down. Crown of the head forward, right fingertips forward. Left hand pushes down, keep the spine in neutral. You're gonna be tempted to be in a cow pose, to drop your ribs down, but draw the ribs up and in, spine is in neutral. We're gonna stay here for 1 more breath. And then we're gonna add that movement. So take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, draw the elbow and the knee in towards each other. Draw the chin to the chest, take a cat pose, round the spine. Inhale, lengthen, stretch out long to reach. Exhale, crunch it in. Use your core, slow and controlled. 3 more. Inhale to expand out long. Exhale, crunch everything in tight. 2 more. Reach out, expand, grow. Exhale, crunch it in. Round the spine, chin to the chest. 1 more. Inhale, take up space. Exhale, draw it all in. Round the spine. And then inhale, we're gonna hold it here for just a breath. So really lengthen, push that left hand down. Bring the spine to neutral, inhale. Exhale, bring the hand and the knee back down to the mat. Now we'll stretch the left wrist. So we're gonna pick up the left hand, place it down so that the back of the hand comes down onto the ground. The palm will face the sky, fingertips point toward your knees. Left elbow might be bent, might be straight, might be somewhere in between. The back of the hand is going to stay down, but you're going to curl your fingers in like you're making a fist with your left hand. And then extend the fingers out and curl in. Let's do a few more like that. Opening up through the wrist, you'll feel it in the forearm. Let's do about 1 more. Okay, and then you can release that hand. Again, maybe roll it a few times. We're gonna be on our wrists for just a few more breaths and then we're gonna come off them. So from tabletop, if you folded up your mat or did some sort of something to support your knees, I would remove it because we're gonna start to get moving. I don't want it to get in the way. So from tabletop, walk your hands 1 whole handprint closer to the top of your mat. Hook your toes under, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog for just 1 breath here. I know you wanna come off your wrists. Now deeply bend your knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, travel forward. Take baby steps, walking forward into forward fold, Uttanasana. Now here we're going to stay for a few breaths. So this is forward fold, forward bend, Uttanasana. This is the shape that we're going to keep coming back to open the backside of the body, which is going to help us with most arm balances. So feet are hip distance apart, toes are pointing forward, but maybe as we're here, you play around with bending your knees a lot, maybe bending them a little, or maybe straightening them. Maybe you bend 1 knee and straighten the other, and you notice how that changes the stretch. and maybe you switch. Maybe you shift your weight forward into your toes or back into your heels. Maybe you grab onto opposite elbows and sway, trace a figure 8. Maybe you shake your head yes, shake your head no. Well, let's stay in forward fold for about 3 more breaths, taking some version that feels good for you. All right, let's all return in a traditional forward fold. Weight back in the heels, soft bend in the knees. Really push the heels down and inhale, lift up halfway, lengthen your spine. Exhale as you fold forward, Uttanasana, rounding through the upper body. Push the heels into the ground. Inhale, rise up. Reach the fingertips up towards the sky. Maybe even look up if it feels okay in the neck. And then slowly bring your hands to your heart. Arrive in Tadasana. Take a deep breath. Okay. Before we move through our half sun salutations and our full sun salutations, I want to talk about one thing really quick. So when we are starting or ending sun salutations, you have this opportunity to, as you reach the arms up, to look up. This is a pose called Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. There's a few different ways to do it, and I'm going to be kind of particular about how you do it in this particular sequence, because in this sequence, what I really want is the back side of your body open. So I want you to focus more on rounding forward and doing more of this. So I'm not saying don't take the back bend. I'm just saying if you take this back bend, if you take Urdhva Hastasana, which you're always welcome to just reach the arms up and just look forward and keep everything in neutral. But if you feel like taking the back bend, I want you to think about the back bend coming from your heart and your chest. Like you're lifting your chest up towards the sky, not pushing your hips forward. That's not, I hate to say that taking that pose that way is wrong. We won't get there. We won't go there. But in this particular sequence, I want you to avoid pushing your hips forward, because that's going to shorten all of this. And then I think all the work that we're doing to open it, we're sort of 1 step forward, 2 steps back sort of thing. So when you reach your arms up overhead, I want you to think about pushing the feet down, lifting up, not forward. Okay. All right, that's all. We can keep moving. All right, so push the feet down, stand up tall. Relax the shoulders, relax the arms. Take a deep breath here, just in Tadasana, grounding through the feet. Inhale, exhale. And now let's get moving. Inhale, reach fingertips up, maybe even look up by lifting your chest. Exhale, fold forward, hinge at the hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold forward, rounding through the upper body. Push the feet down and inhale, rise all the way up. Make sure the legs are doing the work as you lift, as you rise. Maybe you look up. We're going to keep going. Exhale, fold forward, hinge at the hips, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Push the heels down, inhale, rise. Fingertips reach to the sky. Maybe you look up, protect your back. Exhale, fold forward. Last one, half sun salutation. Exhale into forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, fold. Push the feet down, inhale, rise. All the way up, maybe lift the chest. Now we're gonna keep going. Surya Namaskar C. Exhale, hinge of the hips, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, step the right foot back, all the way back. We're gonna pause in this runner's lunge for just a breath or two. So each foot is in its own lane of traffic. Your feet are hip distance apart. Ground that left heel down into the ground and draw the right heel back. Crown of the head forward, take a breath. Inhale, exhale, step back, downward facing dog. So take your time, stepping back, downward facing dog. Spread your fingers as wide as they'll go. Inhale, shift forward, plank pose. We're gonna stay in plank for a few breaths. You know you can always drop to your knees and take a modified plank or stay here with me. Now, you're gonna spread your fingers as wide as they'll go. Push firmly in the fingertips and in the base of the pointer finger and in the webbing between your pointer finger and your thumb. Now, oftentimes we end up sticking our seat up towards the sky. So can you lengthen your lower back? Can you tuck your tailbone a little bit like you're pointing your belly button closer to your hands than your feet? Take a deep breath, plank pose, work the core. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, slowly lower. Keep the elbows in tight as you lower. Bring the tops of your feet down onto the ground. Bring your arms alongside your body. Palms will face in towards your thighs. Push your hips down. Inhale, lift, head, neck, chest, shoulders, arms. Lift up the hands, reach the fingertips back. Draw your shoulders away from your ears, but also away from your heart. Can you push your heart forward and draw your shoulders down and back? Take one more breath here. Inhale, slowly lower. Bring the hands under the shoulders. Exhale, downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Okay, from down dog, slowly pick up the right foot. Reach the right heel back. Inhale. Exhale, draw the right knee in towards your belly. Slowly shift forward like you're in a one-leg plank and then quietly place the right foot in between your hands, taking as many steps as you need to get it there. Pulling or pushing is perfectly fine. Set up in the runner's lunge for just a breath or two. Push the right heel down, draw the left heel back. Push the hands down, lift the chest, crown of the head forward. One more breath. Inhale. Exhale, step forward, forward fold, Uttanasana, round through the upper body. Inhale, lift up halfway, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold forward. Push the heels down. Inhale, rise all the way up. Make sure the legs are doing the work as you lift, and maybe you lift your chest and look up. But we're gonna do that one more time. Exhale, fold forward, hinge at the hips, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step the left foot back, all the way back, runner's lunge for truly just one breath. Inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Set yourself up, take your time, there's no rush. Spread your fingers wide. Inhale, shift forward, plank pose. Now here we're still gonna stay a few breaths. Even if the whole rest of the sequence is at the pace of the breath, you know I like to hold this pose. Okay, so reach your heels back and the crown of your head forward like you're trying to make your body as long as you can. Think the actions that you do when you are in, I can't think of the mountain. When I'm working, sometimes my brain doesn't think. Okay, like you're trying to stand up really tall in mountain pose, having really good posture, that same alignment. Lengthening the spine, working the core, one more breath. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, slowly lower. Keep the elbows in tight. Bring the tops of the feet down into the ground. Bring the arms alongside your body. Palms will face in. Push your hips down. Lift head, neck, shoulders, arms, and hands. Maybe even lift the legs. Now you are going to feel this work in your lower and mid back here. That's all right. But you're supported. You're able to push down into the floor, and that allows you to lift up and work the back. So drop your shoulders away from your ears and draw your shoulders back like they're reaching up towards the ceiling. One more breath, Shalabhasana, locust pose. Inhale, slowly lower, hands under shoulders. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Okay, now from down dog, slowly pick up the left foot, reach the left heel back. Inhale, exhale, bend the left knee, draw it in towards the belly, shift forward. You're in a one-leg plank, and then quietly place that left foot down. In between the hands, just take one breath, runner's lunge. Inhale, Exhale, step forward, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift up halfway, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold forward. Push the heels down, inhale, rise up. Push the heels down, make sure the legs are doing the work. Maybe lift up through your chest. Bring your hands to your heart. Take a deep breath, mountain pose. All right, now we're gonna move on to some standing poses. So, from right where you're at, bring your feet a little closer together. Big toes will touch, a little bit of space between the heels. Make sure your weight is back in your heels. You can easily wiggle your toes. Okay, take a breath here. All right. Inhale, reach fingertips up towards the sky. Exhale as you drop your seat down and back towards the earth. So, feet are together, knees are together. Seat is not only dropping down towards the floor, but down and back. You should feel this in the tops of your thighs, not your calves. If you're feeling it in your calves, you're probably shifting far too forward. You've got to come back. Also, this is not a spinal pose. This is a leg pose. So you shouldn't feel much in your back, and if you do, you're probably drawing your ribs forward. So can you draw your ribs back, lengthen through the back side? Let's stay for one more deep breath in chair pose, Utkatasana. Now you can keep your arms up overhead. That's going to be a little bit more challenging, or maybe bring your hands to your hips. We're coming to a balance pose right from the gate. So look at a spot on the floor, something that will not move, and shift your weight into your left foot. Shift your weight into your left foot. Let the right foot just lift and hover up off the ground. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you transition into Warrior 3, lengthening the right leg back towards the wall behind you. Allowing your torso to lower so it's parallel to the floor. Maybe hands stay at the hips. Maybe fingertips reach back towards the back of the mat. Maybe fingertips reach forward towards the front of the room. Wherever you need to be. But I want you to balance on your left foot for 3 more breaths. So ground that heel into the earth. Make sure you can wiggle your left toes. Make sure you are breathing, and let's stay for 1 more breath. Now deeply bend the left knee. Let the right foot touch down towards the back of the mat, lifting your torso. Okay, let's set up in Warrior 1. So check in with your feet. This is a shorter stance than Warrior 2. Warrior 2, our feet are real far apart. This is a little closer together. I like heels each in their own lane of traffic. It's not necessarily the most traditional way to practice the pose, but it's the way I like it. But you can have each heel sort of on that tightrope. But either way, you're gonna hook your back toes in a little bit more, like your right toes are pointing to the front right corner of your mat. Deeply bend your left knee, square the hips, draw the right hip forward, left hip back. Lengthen the spine. This is not a back bend. You can practice this pose as a back bend, but that's not what we're doing. So lengthen the spine, eventually allow the arms to float up, but let shoulders relax. Palms will face each other, or if it's okay in the shoulders to do external rotation, we already did internal, maybe the palms will face the wall behind you. Maybe the creases of your elbows will face the wall behind you, sort of like chaturanga, but now arms are up overhead, so it's behind you. All right, either way, deeply bend that left knee, push the left heel firmly into the ground. Notice that the top of your left thigh is working, that's what we want. Keep grounding the right heel, right pinky toe side of the foot, as you draw the right hip forward. Let's take 2 more deep breaths here in Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1. Okay, now we're slowly going to bring the hands to the hips and push the left heel into the ground to straighten the left leg. Okay, now both legs are straight. Now most often in this pose, this front knee is going to want to deeply bend. I'm okay with a soft bend, but it shouldn't look very deeply bent. It should not look like what it was just looking like, okay, in Warrior 1. All right, so legs are straight, square the hips, draw the right hip forward, left hip back. That's important. Hands at the hips, push your heels down, inhale, stand up tall. Exhale, fold forward, keeping that left leg fairly straight. Start to lean your torso forward. Now you might bring your hands down onto blocks, or down onto the left shin, or down onto the mat. But this is pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana. Now, you might keep your back flat. That's what I'm doing here. And I'm looking towards my left big toe. Now you can do that. You can keep reaching the crown of your head forward and look at your left big toe. Or maybe you drop your chin to your chest, drop your head, look back towards your right big toe. That's gonna create more of a stretch in your spine. So listen to not just your neck, your whole spine. Okay, now no matter what you're doing with your spine, square your hips. Draw your right hip forward, your left hip back. What I want for you is a stretch in the back of the left leg, more so in the back of the thigh and knee, but calf is good too. We just want to really open the back of that left leg. Let's take 2 breaths here, pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana. Okay, now from wherever you're at, slowly bend your left knee. Now we want that left knee deeply bent. Push the left heel down into the ground. Inhale, slowly rise to warrior 1 again. Fingertips to the sky, crown of the head up, torso facing forward. Just take 2 breaths here. Okay, inhale. Exhale, bring the hands down, step back, downward facing dog. You've got 3 to 5 breaths before we do that on the second side, so you're welcome to take any transition that you'd like. Movement, stillness, working, resting, whatever you need. Just keep breathing. All right. Now we'll all meet in downward facing dog. So in another breath, make your way there if you're not there already. Okay. From down dog, deeply bend your knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, travel forward. Walk, step, or jump into forward fold, Uttanasana. Rounding through the upper body, let's stay for a breath. Okay. Using the strength of the legs, inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Push the heels down, inhale, rise all the way up. Fingertips reach to the sky. Maybe you lift your chest and you lift your heart and you look up, but eventually exhale and bring the hands to the heart, mountain pose, Tadasana. All right, from the top. So we're gonna start right where we're at. Bring the feet a little closer together, big toes to touch, space between the heels. Inhale, reach fingertips up. Exhale, sink the hips down and back, Utkatasana. Feet together, knees together, quads working, not the calves. Seat down and back, spine in neutral. Yeah, there I think. Relax your shoulders. Arms can always be down, hands at the heart. If this bothers your arms, they don't have to be up. So they can always be somewhere else. But relax your shoulders. Take 1 more deep breath here. Utkatasana, chair pose. All right, arms up overhead can stay, but again, it's a little more challenging. I'm gonna bring my hands to my hips. You're gonna look at something on the floor, something that will not move. Shift your weight into your right foot. Slowly pick up the left. And it might just hover off the ground. You might just stay right here. That's absolutely fine. Or maybe lengthen that left leg back, tip the torso forward, warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. Now either way, you're grounding through the right heel. You can wiggle your right toes. Your spine is in neutral. You're lengthening, crown of the head forward, left heel back. Relax the shoulders, relax the arms, place them where you need. 2 more breaths, warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. Okay, keep your eyes on that spot. Deeply bend the right knee. Let the left foot touch down towards the back of the mat. Give yourself a break. Okay, now set up in warrior one. So again, traditionally, each heel is in the same plane, like they're on one tightrope. I'm not really too fond of that. I like each heel in its own lane of traffic, but you do what works for you. But either way, it's a shorter stance. Left toes hooked in a little more. Deeply bend the right knee. Push down through the heels. Neutralize the spine. It's not a back bend. Could be, but not today. And then eventually let the arms float up. Let the shoulders relax. Okay, now continue drawing your left hip forward, even though your left heel and left pinky toe is pushing down and back. Those are pushing down and back to propel you forward, which sounds counterintuitive. It doesn't sound like to push down you could pull more or something like that, but it really is. It's grounding so that there's stability and so that you can push the left hip forward. Again, lengthen the spine, relax the shoulders. Let's stay for 2 more breaths in warrior one. All right, now we're going to bring the hands to the hips. Push the right heel into the floor, straighten the right leg. Now both legs are straight. Now your right leg might bend a little bit. The knee might bend probably like, I want you to watch. This is my right leg straight. I will, anything more than this, I would say I want you to focus on straightening it a little bit more. It's hard to do hard and fast rules like that, but I just don't want it to look something like this, right? Okay, then you're bypassing the stretch. So both legs straight, draw the right hip back, left hip forward, 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 forward. Hands at the hips, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold, hinge at your hips. Your right hip flexor should be shortening, okay? Now hands can come down onto the shin, onto the mat, onto the blocks. Maybe you keep pushing your hands down, you reach the crown of your head forward and you look at your right foot. Maybe you drop your chin to your chest, round your spine, look back at your left foot. Take the pose that makes the most sense for you. Either way, I want you to feel a lengthening in the back of the right leg, maybe more in the calf, maybe more in the knee, probably the thigh though. And then again, rounding or lengthening the spine depending on how your spine feels. This is pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana. Continue to draw your right hip back, your left hip forward. That's how you get into that stretch. Let's take 2 breaths here. Okay. Now, slowly bend your right knee. Now we want the right knee deeply bent. Push the right heel down into the ground. Inhale, slowly rise, fingertips to the sky. Take a warrior one for just 2 breaths. Bringing everything back upright, back strong and stable. Inhale, exhale, plant the hands, step back, downward facing dog. Again, 3 to 5 breaths to take any transition that suits you best. Working or resting, whatever you need. Okay, and then when you're ready, come into downward facing dog. Let's meet in downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. From down dog, deeply bend your knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, travel forward. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Let's stay in forward fold again for just a few breaths here. So again, maybe you shift your weight around, maybe you sort of add movement, or maybe you just stay still. Truly whatever feels good. And here you can bend your knees a lot, a little, not at all. Just really notice how your back feels. Let's take 3 breaths here. All right. Now from forward fold, inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Push the heels down into the ground. Inhale, rise up. Make sure the legs are doing the work as you lift. Maybe you lift your chest. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Take a deep breath. All right. All right, so from here is where I'll give you the opportunity for one arm balance, and then we're gonna stretch. So this is really it. After this, we cool down, we stretch, we relax. Okay, so do the arm balance, skip it. Doesn't hurt my feelings. I won't even notice, but whatever you need to do. But we're gonna set up in Malasana first, which is a hip opener. So that just might feel good to just stay there anyways. So from Tadasana, we're gonna take the feet out a little bit wider, and you're gonna turn your toes out. So your feet sort of make the letter V. This is like second position if you ever did dance. So traditional Tadasana is something like this. I'm asking for you to do something like this, but I'm gonna stay facing sideways. Okay. So you've got your feet out wide and your toes turned out. Push the heels down. Inhale, reach fingertips up. Exhale, bring your hands through to your heart and start to bend at your knees. Drop your seat down between your heels, between your calves. This is Malasana. Now you've got lots of options here. You might prop yourself up and sit on something, a block, a stack of blocks, whatever, and you might just stay here, and you might have your hands on your thighs, or you might just rest, you might round forward. So rounding forward in this pose is gonna maybe feel like a good stretch in your back, so you might take that version. You might just let your hands come down. Truly, you've got lots of options here. This actually feels good. I kind of wish I could stay here, but I have to keep demonstrating, so I'm gonna keep moving, but you can stay here. I'm gonna remember that. I'm gonna come back to this when I'm done recording. Okay, so here's your opportunity for an arm balance. Your wrists are warmed up, your core is warmed up, your back is open, and we've already done some balancing poses. So you are prepped and ready. Just like any other balance pose, you're gonna find a spot to look at something that will not move. Oftentimes in arm balances, we get tempted for it to be the spot between our thumbs, but in reality, it should be forward because we wanna think about our weight and our energy sort of going forward, because oftentimes we end up in arm balances on our butt. So we wanna look forward, maybe towards the top of your mat, maybe just a foot or two forward. Spread your fingers, palms come down like you've got the way you would position your hands for plank, tabletop, down dog. There's a lot of consistencies through these poses. All right, you reach your seat all the way up. I think this is one of the things that students often don't do. They stay real low and they think that they're gonna get up, but you can't get up if you're real low, right? Up and down are opposites. So to get up, you have to go up. So you've gotta go up. You gotta really reach your seat up towards the sky. I even like to kind of come up onto my tippy toes to really get up high. I lock my eyes on that spot, and then I bend my elbows like I'm doing a chaturanga. My shins or knees can rest on the triceps. You let one foot come up. I did that kind of backwards. One foot come up, balance on maybe one big toe, and then slowly let that come up. And now I would say most students kind of get stuck in letting that second foot up. One foot can come up off the ground, but the other one kind of won't get there. And that's a balance. There's a lot of things going on. Again, your wrists have to be open. You have to have core strength, leg strength. The back of your torso needs to be open. Your glutes, your hamstrings, all these spots need to be open. And you also need to trust that the earth has you, that you're strong enough, that you can do it. You have to have all of these internal things happening. So I can walk you through all these physical things, but you've got to kind of have it in your heart and in your gut that you've got this. You can do this. So I hope you feel that way. But let's just stay here for maybe 5 more breaths. So again, reaching the seat up, but looking forward. So it feels funky in the neck at first. Bend at the elbows. Kneecaps or shins kind of rest on the triceps. You let one foot lift up off the ground, and then maybe the other. And then it's a matter of just balancing, staying here, finding stability, finding support. And it might not be for that long, that's okay. As one of my old teachers would say, the cooking time for poses like that is not very long. We don't stay in it very long. All right, Come out of your arm balance. Come on into Malasana. From Malasana, let's just take a seat. So let the legs come forward. All right, I'm gonna kind of flip around. All right, we're gonna come onto our backs. I promised you we were just gonna rest and relax and stretch after. So keeping my word, come on down into your back. Okay, now we're gonna start here on our backs. We are really just gonna rest. We're gonna come into constructive resting pose, and we're gonna stay here for several breaths. I'll explain why in a moment. Of course I will. Do you ever feel like I don't explain anything? If you've been taking my classes long enough, you know I love to explain. I want you to have all the knowledge I have. Okay, so knees bent, feet flat. Feet are closer to the edges of your mat, so they're out wide. Knees are knocking in. Notice how this feels on your back. And just let your back sort of take this on for a little bit. Okay, so all the poses that we did, again, were forward folding, forward bending, sort of that chin to the chest, rounding through the spine. If you're a Pilates person, they often call it the C curve, that same sort of shape. We often do that shape a lot already when we're slouching, when we're hunched over the computer or the steering wheel or whatever. So we want to come back to neutral, which is this. Just letting everything come back to more in line with your natural shape of your spine, the natural curves of your spine. So even here, you might be able to notice that, for example, I'm sure this is similar in you, my shoulder blades are really heavy on the ground. They're making really strong contact with the ground. But can I say the same for my lower back? Not really, and that's okay. So just noticing that there are some spots on your back that really touch the ground and that lift up a little bit, that's your natural shape of your spine. Your spine is not a straight line, it's got curves. So just letting those curves kind of reset and come back, that's helpful. Let's just take 3 deep breaths here. Okay, now let's bring the feet and knees back together. Knees are still bent, feet flat on the ground, but just feet and knees together, no more constructive resting pose. Arms might reach out in opposite directions. I don't really quite have the room, so my arms just sort of come at a diagonal, but palms up. We always want palms up. Now let's just let the knees sway from side to side, just from the right to the left, back and forth, a few times like this. Noticing how this feels on your back. I often use this as a warm-up because this is really gentle. You could do this, first thing in the morning. But doing it every once in a while towards the end of the practice, notice if it feels different. And just recognizing that every time you do a pose, or a movement, something like this, it's a new opportunity for that pose or movement. So again, acknowledging that this movement feels different when I do it at the end versus at the beginning. And that it doesn't mean that one of those is better and one of those is right or wrong, just different. And every time you do something, it feels different based on what you did earlier that day. Have you done yoga recently? Did you sleep weird? All these things can affect the way that you feel. Are you hydrated? All of that. Okay. Now from where you're at, eventually, when you are ready, let your legs fall over to the left and let them stay there. And what I like to do is I like to scoot my hips over the right a little bit and then let them fall to the left. But all of this is a matter of personal preference. You might take a different leg variation. You might turn at your neck to look over your right shoulder. But we're going to stay here for several breaths. So let your body relax.
come into a pose or a version of this pose that suits you in this moment. Taking on something because it feels good, because it's soothing to you. Let's stay for 3 more breaths. And then if your head is turned, slowly return your head to the center. Slowly return your legs and maybe your hips, if you move them, back to the center. So everything's back to neutral, everything's back to symmetry. Maybe you knock the knees in again and just take a breath or two to notice how your two sides feel different. Again, it doesn't mean that one is better or one is the right way, or we're avoiding any sort of judgment, but just notice that feeling. And now again, let's bring the feet and knees together and let the knees sway side to side. Moving very softly, very gently. There's no rush. There is no hurry. This is not better or more effective if it's faster. I would argue it's the opposite. That you can get into this a little deeper if you move a little slower. And you also can be a little bit more mindful. Mindfulness is sort of a hot topic word, a word people sort of like to throw around, and being mindful just really means to be taking in every sensation, really being with the present moment. So being mindful here means to just notice each and every muscle, each and every joint, each and every spot in your body that is being affected by this movement, and just noticing it. Just being aware, being present, being mindful. And then when you're ready, you'll let the legs fall over to the right. You might scoot your hips over to the left a few inches. That's optional. Feels good in my body, might not in yours. But let your legs fall over to the right. You might take a different leg variation. You might turn and look over your left shoulder. You've got options. Take what you like. This is meant to feel good. This is meant to be a comfortable stretch at the end of a sequence that took a decent amount of work. So let yourself rest, let yourself relax. We'll stay for 3 more breaths. Now, if your head is turned, slowly return your head to the center. And gently do the same with your legs, with your hips, with your spine. Bring everything back to the center, back to neutral, back to symmetry, and just rest. Notice how you feel. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, hug your knees into your chest. You can stay in Apanasana here. You might rock from side to side. You might trace circles with your knees. You might point and flex your feet. Maybe come to Happy Baby. If you really liked Malasana and that hip opener felt good, maybe take Happy Baby. Take about 3 to 5 breaths, being somewhere that feels good for you. And then start to set up in Shavasana. So I'm going to come up to a seat, but you can stay down on your back. Coming all the way flat onto your back. Maybe you stay in constructive resting pose, knees bent, feet flat, knocking the knees in for Shavasana. You're always welcome to do that, especially if your lower back is feeling a little funky. I don't believe there's any reason it would, but I'm just saying. Sometimes it happens. Coming down onto your back. And then allowing yourself to rest. Again, acknowledge that your mat is supporting you. The ground is supporting you. The earth is supporting you. So you can relax. You can rest. You can release. You are supported.
slowly deepen your breath. And as you deepen your breath, create some soft and subtle movements all around your body. Let your head rock from side to side. Run your thumbs over the rest of your fingers as you wiggle your toes. Roll wrists and ankles. Move arms and legs. And maybe you reach your arms overhead, stretching as if you just woke up from a long nap. Wherever you're at, take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, hug your knees into your chest. Slowly roll over onto either side in a tucked fetal position. Keeping your eyes closed and using the strength of both arms, push down into the ground and come up to a comfortable seat. And take a moment here to thank yourself for making it to your mat today. And maybe reflect on your intention. Loka samasta sukhi no bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my life contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom for all. And now slowly join your hands together in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra. To seal our practice, we'll chant the sound of Om one time. You're welcome to just listen or join me. But Om is said to be the oldest and most sacred mantra. It's also said to unite all living things together. Again, we'll chant the sound of Om one time. Let's start with a deep and clearing breath. Inhale for Om. The light or the good in me acknowledges, respects, and bows to the light or the good in you. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Lauren, and this was a slow flow practice, focusing on arm balances, but also not focusing on arm balances, sort of like an arm balance prep sequence. So again, if you're struggling with arm balances, and maybe you don't give a hoot about arm balances, and that's okay. You don't have to do an arm balance. But if you're someone who's like, I wish I could get into them with more comfort or ease and whatever, this is a sequence I would suggest coming back to. So thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.